heading into tomorrow. Sounds like there's some pretty good news for the Niners on the injury front. Some folks coming back and playing.
Good.
But I'm looking at the Carmichael Dave injury report here, and I have listed right here Greg Papa, questionable.
Whoa.
So want to get
Let's go to the source.
Let's go to the source. The one, the only, the voice of the Niners, Greg Papa. Good morning, and can we get a status update on you, friend, because I've been worried all week about you.
Well, I mean, I do occasionally, put on the Riddler costume from Batman with the big question mark on my chest. But I don't know why you're worried about me. I'm not even probable. I'm a full go.
Yes.
We'll play. I don't know why you're concerned about that. I was worried about you.
Yeah.
You missed like half the show since Thanksgiving. Are you alive? What's going on with you, David?
I was in England. I was doing I'm back in cheerio, pip pip. No, look.
Where were you? They love the Niners in England, by the way.
Well, the funny thing is I was in Huddersfield because my buddy bought the soccer team there, so I'm over there helping out. And Huddersfield, their big rival is Leeds, and Leeds is owned by, as you know, the
Niners.
You're right. So Parag Marate's the chairman over there. So there's a lot of Northern California incestuousness going on over there, if you will. And
I was just texting with Al Guido, so I have to point out you're on the other side of the fence in that battle. So I'm going to come to England this year. I think I'm going to do a European vacation and maybe go to Wimbledon, then over to Greece. So maybe we can get over there. But, we're on Sactown Sports, but Tim and I, our radio broadcaster on in England.
Oh, wow.
We have a buddy of ours named Will Gavin, who's a sportscaster over there. I do a weekly hit with him like I did with you guys in London every week, and then we hung on at the Super Bowl last year. And I'm planning on doing it again this year, just bringing the Niners along to the home of the Raiders. But, where they pick up all of our not all. There's some, like when the Queen died, we got bumped.
Yeah.
But I think we did like maybe 14 of our games were on live in London. So the Cowboys are America's team. The Niners are the world's team.
That's
there
right.
You go. Well said.
And still in the playoffs.
Right.
Sorry.
Yep. The Cowboys not even America's.
As we're talking with.
Did your dad, James, at the end of the game when he went into his cadence, he said, "Here we go, Mexico." I caught that one time. It's kind of weird.
I wish you would have ended with the same play like a year ago and put Zeke out there. I know they don't have him anymore, but Pollard to snap and just let him get mashed.
Yeah. How about the call when they went false Shanahan? Did you hear that play call there?
No.
Yeah, so false means go to the left. And I didn't know when I heard Shanahan. I'm like, I thought it has to be an outside zone, right? What are the Shanahans known for? The stretch run. Mike and Alex Gibbs and Kyle. So they went false Shanahan. So they ran outside zone to Tony Pollard going left. So even their audibles at the line of scrimmage, the whole world knows.
Well, are you surprised, Greg, that it is the Packers? Because there were a bunch of options the Niners could have faced. They found out the soonest they could because the Cowboys lost to the Packers, and here we are. Did that matchup and setup now surprise you a bit?
Well, I thought it would be a shootout. I didn't think it would be a blowout for the Packers, but I thought Green Bay could go in there and score on them, and they scored. I mean, they laid 48 on those guys. And but Dallas, I thought Dallas would score on Green Bay, and I know they got to a big number when they get to 32 when it was over and 500 yards, but like half of each were in the fourth quarter. I mean, the game really was over on the Darnell Savage 64-yard pick six when Dak just stared down that cover three into triple slant to the backside, just awful. And they were down 27-0. So, I thought it'd be more of a shootout. That's why going into this game, Jason, I'm going back and forth in my mind, watching so much Packer tape. I'm trying to figure out if it's going to be a blowout and the Niners just blow them out, or if we do have a shootout and that Jordan Love, the way he's playing now, and their wide receivers, and they've got Aaron Jones going, and score enough with the Niners to keep it, competitive in the game. But I do like the matchup for this game against Green Bay. But I respect Green Bay. I go back and forth on whether the Niners are going to blow them out or whether it's going to be a shootout and it's going to go back and forth.
Who does a wet, rainy game benefit more, in your opinion?
I'm there right now. We're supposed to have rain today at practice. I hope it's not a bomb cyclone, one of those atmospheric rivers. I don't mind a little Pineapple Express. In fact, I think I got that in my trunk with me. But in any event, with Brock, the one game where I think Brock struggled, he didn't play well against Baltimore on Christmas night, to be sure. But the game in Cleveland, I think I talked to you guys about it. And I grew up in Buffalo, so I know what's on the shores of Lake Erie, Lake Drury. And it was just one of those days. It was windy. It was rainy. It would change. It would get sunny, and then it would calm down. It kept going back and forth. And he struggled at times. So if we have a rain game, and I think it'd have to be a heavy rain game, you might see him throw a glove on his right hand. He may put a glove on both hands. Matt Barrows from The Athletic goes back to the Seattle, Brock's first playoff game last year, the wild card game, and he wound up throwing for over 300 yards, the second most in Niner playoff history to Joe in one game. But Matt remembers him not being as effective when the game was raining early. I don't quite remember that exactly, but Seattle did have the lead at halftime, and the Niners took it over. So, I mean, Green Bay, they live in the rain. They live in the weather in Green Bay, all kinds of gnarliness. I don't think Jordan Love is bothered by it at all. They had terrible conditions in their practice this week. They went inside in the bubble and worked out of the Don Hudson Center there. So I would say probably would favor Green Bay, but I think the Niners are built, Dave, to play in any weather. But what do we have? Should we get a meteorologist on the phone? What are we looking at? I think it may rain today.
75% chance of rain. 75% on the iPhone is what it says.
Between 5:15 and 8:15 tomorrow night?
Yes, it's going to be a little soggy, they say.
Okay, because they've gone back and forth on the weather. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well,
see.
Greg, you are always so dialed in on these games and what to watch, what you're looking for, what you and Tim Ryan are watching. So for those of us listening to you or watching the game, what should we be watching to see what will be successful for the Niners?
For the Niners, I think offensively, I think they're going to do what they want to do, honestly. I think Green Bay, and I do respect Rashawn Gary, their defense. He's more of a stand-up. They run a 34 defense, but really it's like a 5-2 because they got 3 down guys and 2 outside guys. Preston Smith will be over Trent Williams, and Rashawn Gary will be over Colton McKivitz over the right tackle. He's a good player. And, you don't want him wrecking the game. So you got to get him blocked. You send more protection his way. On Thanksgiving Day in Detroit, he sacked their golf 3 times. They've had quality wins this year, Jace. They beat Detroit in Detroit. They beat Kansas City on that Sunday night game. And Rashawn Gary got Mahomes down early in that game. Colton's going to have to – we don't want a T.J. Watt kind of game where Rashawn comes in here and gets 3 or something and maybe gets a strip sack. So you got to worry about that. And then I think Brock, when you go back to last year in the playoff game in Philly, what happened? Brock got hurt. And why did he get hurt? Hassan Reddick came around the right tackle, Mike McGlinchey, and Brock did not step up in the pocket. There was a point there he could step up and hit Brandon Ayuk, got a double move against James Bradbury. He didn't do it. And I think Brock has improved across the board this year from last year. I think the number one thing he's done is his pocket presence, pressure specifically to his front side over the right tackle, where several times this year he has stepped up into the pocket and even dipped his right shoulder to get around that pressure, come out of it, and thrown big plays. I remember one touchdown pass to George Kittle was a magnificent play. So Rashawn Gary, don't let him wreck the game. Don't let Kenny Clark wreck the game. The middle of their defense is just not good. Devondre Campbell, who was first-team All-Pro in 2021, is just not that guy anymore. He can barely move. And then they got Quay Walker next to him, number 7, high draft pick from Georgia. And to me, he looks more like a defensive end. He should be rushing the quarterback from the edge. He's a come-forward fast guy. He's not good retreating. He's not good laterally. So those 2 inside linebackers, I think, are a problem for them. And if you can't cover the middle of the field against the Niners, and Kyle has picked on the middle of the field defenses in this league for forever, if you can't cover the middle between the hashes, you're going to get Debo Diggs, Ayuk slant routes, Kittle over the middle. You're going to get Christian McCaffrey choice routes and going over the middle on the Texas route. If you don't cover the middle of the field, you're in trouble. That's how Baltimore beat the Niners. They came in here with Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen and Kyle Hamilton, the safety, lurking, and they choked off the middle of the field and pressured from the outside. So Green Bay is going to – I think the Niners are going to score, Jace, whether it's 30, 40, higher. I think they're going to score. The other side is Jordan Love. Just as he's got whippy arm talent. I've gone back and forth with him this week, watching him so much. You watch him early in the year, and obviously he wasn't as good. He threw 10 interceptions the first half of the year. And he throws off his back foot unnecessarily all the time. It's like, James Harden taking a step back daddy, just over and over and over again. And there are times it's amazing because, like the Dallas game, he did it. He had a couple of throws against Kansas City that were unbelievable. Chris Jones was right in his face mask, and he's off his back foot throwing a bomb down the field to Dobbs. It's like, wow. But then there are times when he's got a clean pocket and no pressure around his feet, and he looks like Cam Newton. He still throws off his back foot. He does not transfer his weight to his front foot. So his percentage is higher lately the last 4 games, but still he misses a lot of throws he shouldn't miss because his and then I watched him specifically against Mahomes in Kansas City on that Sunday night game, and he's just making throw after throw off the back foot. And I got to admit, I did not like Mahomes coming out of college. I thought he was reckless and mechanically, what are you doing? He would hold the ball down below his waist and throw sidearm 80 yards. Like, who is this guy? Like, you would never teach a quarterback to throw like Patrick Mahomes. But Patrick Mahomes does it, and he's great at it. And part of me thinks you're worried too much about his footwork. The hell with all that stuff. The guy, he throws the ball like Mahomes. I mean, Herbert's got an amazing arm. Josh Allen's so big and strong. But as far as the sidearm, all different platforms, weakness of the arm, is he Mahomes? And you don't have to worry about that. So blocking Rashawn Gary, and then you got to tackle Aaron Jones. You got to stop their running game, and the Niners are concentrating on that, and that's obvious. But just how good is Jordan Love? Is he fundamentally unsound quarterback who they're going to prey on Saturday night, or is he the next coming of Mahomes?
Greg, our producer Chris is going to glare at me here because we're 4 minutes over, but I can't let you off without asking you real quick. Very few, if nobody, knows Amy Trask more than you. I don't know if you saw her comments on Brock Purdy. 8 quarterbacks left, 7 of them good, and Brock Purdy. I'm not asking you to look. Amy thinks she has all the right in the world to think what she thinks, of course, and I respect the hell out of that. But I got to ask you, have you seen anything like this in your career where a guy who's basically a walking Disney movie seems to just be almost rooted against by not necessarily Amy, but by so many?
Yeah, that's the point. I mean, you can't see it. I mean, I just say that Al never asked Amy Trask for her thoughts on football. She was brought in to run the business as CEO, and she was great at it, and her legal mind. I remember her walking into a meeting when Al was dead. He just passed away that year. Hugh Jackson and I were together. We were playing Denver, and she basically said, Tim Tebow's incapable of beating us on Sunday. And we looked at her like, what? Don't say that out loud. And then Tim Tebow ran zone read, looked like Larry Zonka. He ran all over the Raiders when we lost. So I think she's looking at draft projections, and he's 6 feet, 5/8 of an inch tall. He's not 6'5". So I don't know what she's looking at. I think she's woefully underinformed, misguided. Her evaluation's not. We go through each quarterback, but everybody has full faith. And everything I said about Jordan Love, Brock Purdy does not play quarterback poorly fundamentally.
Sure.
He's rock solid. He does everything well. Now, he doesn't have Jordan Love's arm. He's not 6'4" like Jordan Love. So I was a bit taken back by Andy saying that. And then, obviously, Dave, you know both sides of it. How much of it is when with the Raiders, they just did not like the 49ers at all. That's just zero.
Yeah.
And it was Al didn't mind as much. He had a thing with Carmen. But, he found Eddie and got him in the league. But I know Amy and Bruce, they just openly wondered why the popularity of the 49ers and not us. And I tried to explain it to her. So, I mean, is some of that just 49er envy they have? Or should you really think that Brock Purdy is not capable of performing well on this stage? I mean, come on.
Yeah. No, I hear you, Craig. I'm glad you're good to go. You're a gamer if there ever was one.
Why were you concerned? Did you get false reports?
No, I wasn't.
Is something unforeseen going to happen to me that you know?
No, and I'm
worried.
I hope I'm not telling tales out of school here, but no, when I was in England last week, I was just Englanding along in my flat cap with fish and chips, and weren't you having a back issue or something? And
oh yeah.
So I was,
but I've had one.
Yeah, I know you've had it for a while. I was just worried about you.
No, I mean, as long as my voice is ready to roll, they can roll me in a wheelchair.
Good point, right there.
Put me on a gurney, and I'll be fine. I stand up. The problem is sitting on my ass doing talk radio for 4 hours a day. Don't you get bad back? I got 2 herniated discs. So I know, but I stay in the entire game, so I'm good to go.
Okay.
10 minutes is up. I'm sorry.
No,
Goodbye.
You're fine. Good luck. We'll talk to you next week after the hopefully the big win. We love you to death. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you
guys.
soon.
We'll talk to you next week before the NFC Championship game. Thanks.
You got to take care of that.